Hello, my name is Richie. I am the creative director for Super Soul. Basically, that just means that I primarily do art, visual graphics for the company. It's just the two of us, John and I, so I get to have a fancy title. John primarily does the programming side of things. I am going to be playing through the first two levels of Compromised and talking a little bit about it. I'm gonna go ahead and fly through the menus here. Just gonna say that we like the style, but it's a bit bare bones, and we want to work some on the menu systems and add some pizzazz. So this save file has everything unlocked. You can see all these levels, but they would normally be locked. I'm gonna start on the first one as if I was starting the game. And you can see the icons are all Xbox. We originally released on Xbox Live Indie Games. We are in the process of porting over, or not porting over the code, but changing a lot of the icons so that depending on if you have a gamepad plugged in or keyboard and mouse, that all the icons are supported either way. So that's one thing that we've got to do and we're working on right now. So this right here is the opening story sequence. Bit of exposition on what's going on. Give a bit of context to the game. We don't have it's not a story-driven game. It's primarily an action game, a shooting game. We wanted to have a story in there. But it's not you can skip all of the story and still you won't be at a loss as to what to do in the game. I would suggest watching the story. Hopefully everybody enjoys it. But I know some people, they like to just skip stories, and that's cool. So we allow all of them to be skipped, and there's nothing you need to know from the story and the gameplay, so that you have to watch it if you're not really interested in that. Alright, so we're going to fire up the first level here. Here we go. There I am, coming out. My ship, arrow. Movement is WASD or left analog stick on a gamepad. Shooting is the mouse cursor and hold down left trigger to fire, or the right analog stick on the gamepad. On the Xbox Live Indie Games, it was a dual stick shooter, twin stick shooter. Right now we have a set control scheme for the PC, but that's just because we haven't set up our configurable controls yet. Eventually we will have. We're working on right now to have it so that you can just customize the controls to whatever layout you would like to have. Top left, we got the HUD here, health, missiles, bombs. Missiles and bombs regenerate after a short period of time. Because my save game is maxed out, I've got full on everything. Top right, we got specials, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So there's missiles, bombs. Bombs lay behind you. Missiles fire in the direction of the ship, so they're very powerful, but they require more finesse than the gun. I'll go ahead and go in to this first room, which is it's kind of just an area to get people comfortable with some of the basic ideas of firing and the controls and the collecting cubes. There is a tutorial in the game, but I skipped that. Now the specials, the blue cubes I collect is what adds to my number in the top for specials, and I can go ahead and show the top one. It's a force pulse that propels everything away from you. It also destroys bullets in your path. So with weaker enemies like these purple guys, it just eliminates them. Stronger guys, it'll push them away. Missiles and stuff, it'll push away. These bullets, it just destroys. So it's kind of a clear out mechanism. If you find yourself surrounded, you hit it and get a little breathing room. This little mini boss here is kind of just to introduce some of the concepts of how enemies flash, take damage, fire projectiles, that kind of stuff. I got a little hidden area here. I can collect more cubes. Go ahead and hit the bottom one, which is the shield. It doesn't prevent all damage, it just prevents damage from projectiles and the like. You can still take damage from things crushing you, something like that. So I got a couple of NPC buddies helping me out here. It's not other players, it's just AI controlled units. Alright, we had an avalanche. Those guys didn't make it through, but we got a couple more in here. Go ahead and use my missile spread, which is the left special, in a second. It's a bit overwhelming for these early guys that are not very challenging, but yeah, there we go. But you get an idea. It's really effective against a large number of enemies that are quite powerful, or one enemy that's very powerful. Later enemies have various destructible components to their form, and a well-placed shot can sometimes eliminate the whole thing. And the last special is gravity bombs. Dropped one there and explode it. Anything will get pulled in, including me, and it just it slowly drains the life force as I run into guys. So I don't want to run in there, I'll get hurt too, but I try to just get everything else to avoid them while they fly in there and reap the rewards of all these cubes once they're gone. One of my guys didn't make it. Alright. So some of the game is these wave-based areas, but we certainly try not to focus on that too much because we want it to be a progression game. You go through levels, not kind of you sit in a place and just battle swarms of enemies. Now I'm getting pulled in. I'm trying to fly, but I can't fly my ship fast enough to get out of this velocity field and get sucked up in here. Inside here there's a force pulling me backwards that if I just let go, it turns on and off and it'll start pulling me back towards the back area. There's some grinders back here that will mess me up if I hit them. So this is one of the areas with these crushers that we an example of what we want to definitely work on. Some mistakes we recognize we made and we're going to fix, where you can't see the crusher when it goes up, and it just feels hard, challenging for the player unfairly. That it's not a challenge because it's a well-designed challenge, it's just kind of unfair that they can't see it. So certainly things like that we're addressing, and we want to fix all those. Either we've noticed them or we've got feedback from other people. And this is a good opportunity to try to fix all that. Also, when we made the game for Xbox Live Indie Games, originally we only had 150 megabytes. That ended up being extended to 500, but by then we kind of done most of the art and design for the game. So we definitely have a lot of room to expand on the art and the graphics in the game, the effects. So that's going to be pretty cool to be able to continue working on that kind of stuff. This area actually, Tim Hurley from Gearfish, who reviewed our game, picked up on the homage to Super Metroid, which was pretty cool. I was happy that he noticed that. I'm a huge fan of that game, and while there's a lot of differences between the games, I kind of wanted to just sneak in a bit of a homage, hats off to one of my favorite games. So this whole sequence is loosely designed off of the Mother Brain sequence in Super Metroid, or the original Metroid. When you're trying to progress to the Mother Brain core, and there's turrets and those walls that regrow. Alright, we took that core out, and here's a cutscene. Okay, that's the end of the first level. I got my stats here. Upgrade balance is really high because of me playing this game repeatedly, having maxed out everything. I can go to the upgrades and just show them. They're all maxed out on this save file, but you can see what we got here. Capacity and pickups for health, gun damage, stuff like that. One thing we didn't do that we want to put in is, as you upgrade things, there's some modifiers, some kind of additional modifiers that come up from doing it that will add to the gameplay experience and maybe change things a little bit. For example, with the guns, as you increase the damage, kind of the way that the gun fires, the gun itself changes with the upgrades. We're also looking at different things that we could possibly put in here to kind of expand out our upgrade tree or upgrade system. I'll close out of there and go on to the second level. Here we go. I bounced off the walls a little bit there. This is the first major boss battle in the game. These boss battles are their own levels. Each one gets progressively more challenging and elaborate, with more behaviors, different strategies for different modes of the boss to defeat them. This guy won't be too challenging for me with all my upgrades. My gun's so powerful compared to this guy that if I really wanted to, I could whittle him down fairly quickly. There he goes. So, something that might be interesting or silly is that the idea for this guy came from the peeling of an onion. I had a circular boss that had some basic firing techniques, but didn't really do much yet, and I was trying to think of a way to make it interesting. And I thought, well, if it's kind of a peeled onion that has a different behavior every time, so it gets smaller every time that you peel off a layer, and it behaves a little bit differently. That was the kind of the design direction for him. On this level is a good level of what we really want to work on with the art. It's a bit sparse. With more memory we can work with, definitely can add a lot more in here. We don't want to change the feel of the game with the desolation, and isolation, kind of a grimy. It's been compared a lot to H.R. Geiger. I hope that's how you pronounce his name. Otherwise, I sound pretty stupid right now. But for the effects, but even with that style, I think there could be a lot more done that that would complement the style, especially bringing more life to the level, and the level's not necessarily an it's populated by things as much as there's just things happening. So maybe crumbling effects, the remnants of a society that was certainly more substantial until the coming of Biot. Things such as that. That's a good example of how effective the missile spread can be. So he's pretty much done. I've about whittled him down. Take care of the last bit here. There we go. Not too challenging of a boss when you've fully upgraded, but it's also the first boss battle, so definitely didn't want to make it terribly challenging. The game's pretty hard. We've got difficulty settings. We've got expert mode for those that really want the full-on challenge, and the feedback is that it's a pretty hard mode. Certainly with the gamepad, it can give you the claw hands, from what we hear. Alright, so that's the end of the second level, and that's about it. I hope it was informative and entertaining. Thank you for listening. We are going to have a demo up as soon as we can, so people can play the demo of the game. If you're a fan, if you like it, please upvote us. We'd love to be on Steam.